Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a really interesting video. I'm going to do a face-off with this Rough Ryder Quillcliff. It's a Warncliffe single blade design and this Rosecraft French Broad jack, which is a Warncliffe design. And there are some views of these two knives out there on the YouTube, so I'm going to do this a little differently than I normally do on a face-off. And really going to I'm going to concentrate on the design features of these knives. Even though they're very similar, they're also very different. And the differences in the design of these knives really is what separates these two knives. And so that's what we're going to talk about, and that's what's going to be really interesting, different perspective than maybe you're used to. I hope you'll check that out in the video. All right, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi, all my viewers. Welcome back. I just hope you all continue to keep all of those folks affected by the Helena in your prayers and your thoughts. And hopefully, if you can help out in some way or another, I hope you help out. Man, this is a devastating storm. Really, absolutely horrible. So I just do whatever you can, contribute to whoever you want to contribute to. But this is going to have a lot of impact. It's going to impact a lot of people in the United States. It is already starting to impact people. And so yeah, let's keep them in our thoughts. And today we're going to be talking about these two knives a little differently. They're both, by the way, absolutely wonderful knives, but we're going to really take a hard look at them, and we're going to see some very interesting differences in these. And then, I may throw in a cameo appearance by this guy right here, which is a Warncliffe Whittler from Case, and maybe some others, maybe some vintage ones we'll throw in there. Just take a look at them. So without further ado, let's check these bad bears out. All right, both these knives, similar quality, high quality, I'd say, similar materials, similar construction. So we're going to move through this pretty quick and then concentrate on those design features I was talking about. This is a, well, first, this is a 4-inch knife right here. And the obvious thing that you see on this knife is the micarta scales on here, which you can see the layering a little right there. Really nice layered look to this. Really well done micarta, and kind of traditional in a lot of type of knives that are coming out of China. You have that square back where it's angled and not really smoothed over. And what I mean is, if you look at the vintage knives, the older knives are kind of rounded over to meet the liners. You don't see that all of these knives being produced in China usually, and that's what I mean when they're angled and highly angled and squared off. And over here you have the French Broad jack from Rosecraft. Nice looking natural bone here. I really like the coloring on that. It's done well. And typical construction, you can see it's that angled square kind of finish on the back here, not rolled over. Well done. It's all well done. Very similar. I'd have to give the points to Rosecraft for the bone. Bone is considered an upgrade over synthetics, and micarta is synthetic. I'd have to say, micarta G10, acrylic resin, Humpty Dumpty Dumpty Do, and they're all kind of same. They're synthetics. But that said, micarta is kind of up at the top, the pinnacle, and considered the one of the toughest acrylics, or not acrylics, of synthetics that you can get. It's a layered type of construction where various different materials are added to it, so it gives it strength. So technically, this would be like this was a modern folder, this was be kind of a premium handle on here. But traditionally, bone is considered more premium than synthetic. And so as you look at this Rosecraft, you notice the blade right here. Let's look at that. And so it has a kind of like a Wharncliffe blade. And when I say kind of like, because it's not a Wharncliffe blade, okay? I would call this a Warren tip blade. And so from here down, it's a Wharncliffe tip. And you have a continuously curving spine to the edge of the blade. That's a Wharncliffe tip. And if you look at the rest of it, it's not really a Wharncliffe. I'll explain more about that later. Nice swedge here. Really nicely done. It's on both sides. Nice. You have a satin. Man, these things are just fingerprint magnets. You have a nice satin finish on here. You can see that right there. It is D2, as is the Rough Ryder Reserve is D2. Also, really nice pull, really nice lockup. Let me just show you right here. Really nice, perfect transition right there. Perfect transition. As long as I get it open, you see like a mirror finish. That is a mirror finish. And then you look down here. If it's not mirror, it's really close, very highly shined. And that's really one of the major differences in this knife than the Rough Ryder Reserve. It is a brushed stainless finish, but it's a lot shinier. Look at that. You do have a mirror finish on it, low grade mirror finish on it. So that's kind of the major difference between this and the Rough Ryder Reserve. If you look at the Rough Ryder Reserve, that is a true Wharncliffe. And so if you look carefully, it starts out from the tang and goes up. So it's going up until it's apex, and from the apex down, it's a continuous curving blade. Maybe you can see that there a little better, how it goes up and then curves down. This is a true Wharncliffe blade. Both these blades, by the way, I didn't mention it, but both of them have really good edges. You can see it there and then there. Really consistent, nice edges to them. And this is also D2 out of China. Both of them good walk and talk. The Rosecraft's a little stiffer than the other one. And so at that point, I want to start looking at some of the design features. Right away, they're a little different. They do have a Wharncliffe design, but there's some obvious differences in these two knives. So we'll look at that. If you look at this Rough Ryder Reserve, the Quillcliff, one of the things you notice right away, centering's not too bad. If I can get it in for you guys. There you go. But one of the things you notice right away, maybe you haven't noticed, there's a lot of gap here. The blade ends, the tip ends way earlier than the end of the knife here. Matter of fact, this is like 5/16 of an inch. So I'll see if I can't demonstrate that to you. So, okay, let's put that right in the edge. And the tip is right there, okay? So if you go from the end, that's really more than 5/16. It's 8/16 of an inch. That's almost half an inch. You know, that's almost half an inch. That's really, I think, a design. I don't think you can call that a flaw. You know, it was a calculated risk. You know, why would the Rough Ryder do that? First thing is, well, you know, make it so that it qualifies in every country. But you can see the blade to, to frame ratio here is just way off. You see it right there, and it almost looks like a broken blade. As an example, you look at the Rosecraft, goes all the way to the end. Good blade centering too. Goes all the way to the end and really past the end. If you look at it, it's past the end on it. And this is a 3-inch blade measured from here. Come on, get it. From here to the tip, it's a 3-inch blade. And so on an almost 4-inch knife. So that's a really good ratio on it. And why Rough Ryder chose to do that, I don't know, but it's not good, right? They should have took advantage of that room, and I consider that kind of a design fail on there. Another thing I want to point out to you about this Rough Ryder is the sides of the bolsters are not even, and it's really close here. But if you take a straight edge across here, you can see right there that the bolster on this side is shorter than one on the other side. That really becomes apparent up here. So look at that. Holy cow. Yeah, look at how far off that is on there. And you can tell it. So if you're looking just right there at that bolster, and then over here, it's bigger. What the heck, right? What is going on with that? So, yeah, that's a design fail. Actually, I would call that a build quality issue right there. I'm not sure if everyone's made that way. I did watch a couple videos, and I didn't notice that other Quillcliff knives were like that, but you know, maybe they weren't concentrating on it in the video. Anyhow, you know, it's not a detriment to the knife build. It's just these two design features, I think, for me, would push this knife out into the front as far as being better designed. But this knife's not perfect either. We're going to look at some really interesting things about this. One thing I want to show you is you can't pinch this open. Maybe you can. I got fat little fingers. It's very difficult. Now, it's easy to open using the nail nick for me, but that's a big difference in design feature. If you look at this knife, very easy to grasp right here and just pull it open. And I really like that about the knife. And, you know, really stiff. I can't push that open. So you got a real good pull on this Rosecraft, as do the Rough Ryder. And that's a better design feature, I think, than the Rough Ryder's design. It's not bad, right? So it's not like one's good or bad. This presents a smoother, more elegant, it's actually more aesthetically pleasing to have the knife blade so close in like that. This, I think, from a picture perfect standpoint, this looks worse actually than this right here. But from a functional standpoint, you know, I'd rather have it that way. I'd rather be able to grab my blade like that and pull it out and not have to rely on the nail nick. So it's not a bad thing. It's just a different way that they did it. You can see the difference right there. So I think this just looks more streamlined. This looks more like the blade is all out there, kind of messing up the aesthetics of everything. Another thing, if you look at the Rosecraft, it has an open bolster, and that's what it means. When it's open, you can see into the knife, whereas this is a closed end, and you can see that's done by wrapping around the back spring all the way over, and it's just purely aesthetic, really. It keeps stuff from falling in here, and it just looks better. So I like this design feature better, and we'll show them to you side by side. You can see right there, just a different way to do things. This is not bad. It's done very well, by the way, so you can see the tip of the blade there. It does not cut your finger at all. It doesn't come in anywhere close. So another thing about this knife, if you look at the tang right here, it's meant to be a hidden tang. That's why you have these bigger bolsters here, and it sticks up just a tiny bit. You can see it right there. It's a little sharp, wouldn't take anything like a little 400 grit sandpaper would smooth that out, but that's just something that's part of the knife. As you pull your finger over, you feel it. Hidden tang is supposed to be hidden. It's supposed to be in there. Make it more pocketable. So we're going to take a quick look at the case right here, Seahorse, and you can see that the tang is tucked down in there. You have a bigger bolster here, and as you run your finger across, you don't hit the end of that. Your pocket won't hit the end of that either. So that's the main advantage of having a large bolster like this, is so that it's easy to put into your pocket and pull out of your pocket. You'll also notice on the case, it's an open tang. You can see all the guts and the glory there, just like you can with this knife. Open tang. Oh, not tang, an open end. Open end. And this one is closed. So this looks better. I like this. Better way to do it. Takes more work to do it that way. What else? You notice another thing, I didn't mention this earlier, but the Rosecraft, snap in here, guys, snap in. Can't get the camera to snap in. Okay. So the Rosecraft is an integral bolster design, and so the liner is the scale on this, and you can see, come on, you can see right there, it's all part of the bolster on this right here. And so then the cover is just set down into that. And on the Rough Ryder, it's a separate liner, and it's brass liners. Now, here's another thing where brass liners are considered more premium than carbon steel or stainless steel liners. Now, obviously, the carbon steel, stainless steel is stronger, but the brass is more resistant to corrosion, and it also provides a bearing surface. So you can see the liner right there. It sits right up on these the blade stock, and it provides a bearing surface. If you think about modern folders, what do they have on them? Phosphorus bronze washers, right? To make the blade work more smoothly. And so, to me, to traditionalists, the brass liners are better. Another difference in these knives. All right, moving on Another thing I want to point out about this Rosecraft, I think we were already talking about that. We were talking about the Rough Ryder, but you can see the back of the blade here, where your square cut is sticking up. And again, like we were talking about with the Rosecraft, the larger bolsters so that you can have a hidden blade here, and it's supposed to be smooth. This is sticking up quite a bit. Now it's not ripping my finger over apart. You can feel it, and on a lot of knives, the tang sticks up like that. But these knives are designed so that it won't, and so I think that's a design miss on Rosecraft's part. And really, if you look at these two knives, this bolster is smaller than this one. If you put them side by side and align the backs of them, you can see it right there. See how it's barely a little, maybe a 1/16 bigger? And also, this is a thicker blade. And so when you look at the blades of these two knives, you can see the Rosecraft is a thicker blade too. So the combination of those two things are why this knife sticks up right there. And they either need to make this bolster a little bigger, move the pin down, or take a little bit off of this blade right here. It shouldn't stick up like that. It's not horrible, but that's the whole purpose of this. So when I looked at this, I said, let me check my collection. And so, I've already showed you, this is Wharncliffe design. It's the case Wharncliffe design. And I showed you that it's hidden. Well, that's the case on every other Wharncliffe I have. This is the only Wharncliffe design in my collection that the blade sticks up like that. So they are supposed to stick, be hidden by these big bolsters right here. That's the purpose of the design. And, Andy needs to go back and look at this. Maybe he wants to keep it. I don't know. If nothing else, narrow it down some, which would make it more like a true Wharncliffe, by the way. If you took off this area right here, then the blade would be going up and down like a regular Wharncliffe. Like this knife right here, if you're lost. So you can see right there, this knife comes up right about there, it peaks out, and then it comes all the way down. That's a true Wharncliffe design. And this is just straight across right here. So maybe that would fix that problem right there. Both of them are just absolutely fantastic knives, though. And you'd be lucky to have either one of them. They're comparably priced. I bought this for $39. This is a Rough Ryder Reserve Quillcliff. Quillcliff is the nickname of this knife. Normally sells for around $44.95. I got this one for $39. These Rosecraft French Broad jacks go for around $54, I want to say. You might be able to get them less sometimes during clearance or something, but they run right around $54. So, $10 difference. I think they're very comparable. I'd rather have a bigger knife, but I'd rather have a bigger blade. So, if this blade was on this knife, it'd be perfect. But it's not that this is inadequate at all. It's an adequate blade for doing work. It's just, you get a big knife. That's the whole idea, to have a bigger blade. That's why we have bigger handles on knives. So I just wanted to show you some other Wharncliffes. This probably dates to the 60s, maybe the 70s. You can see very similar right there in design. And against the Rough Ryder. Very similar. And let me just show you the case again. So that's the case against it right there. This is an old design by Case, by the way. It's new to us, but this design, I think it's at 2355, that came out with Case Brothers. So prior to 1914 on the Case knife. So these two look more similar. And the last one is this one right here. This is a A.B. Caldwell. See it against that. Smaller knife, of course, but similar Wharncliffe design. The A.B. Caldwell was a hardware store that carried the Van Camp brand. And so if you look at this tang stamp, A.B. Caldwell, this is a more scarce stamp. Same knife as Van Camp. So A.B. Caldwell was a large Midwest hardware store, and Van Camp was their brand name. So this is a more scarce brand name. Before I let you guys go, I don't have any conclusions. These are great knives. I just wanted to show you some design differences in these knives. But one thing I realized, this wasn't planned, but one thing I realized when I was pulling these knives out, which were just arbitrary, by the way, the examples, was that they're different blade configurations. And so I thought that was interesting and worth looking at. And this is your, so that's a single blade Wharncliffe. That's a two blade Wharncliffe set in an opposite end setting. This is a Wharncliffe jack with two blades set at one end, like a jackknife. And this is a Wharncliffe with three blades set at opposite ends. Gee, I can't get it out of there. Still can't get it out of there. And I didn't intend for this to happen, but I thought it was interesting. You know, you have your single blade Wharncliffe, a two blade Wharncliffe, an example of the different configurations you can use on a two blade configuration Wharncliffe, and then a three blade Wharncliffe with opposite end configuration. Pretty cool, huh? All right. Hope you enjoyed the shoe. It was a really big shoe. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your participation and supporting the channel. And let's keep all those hurting people in our prayers and in our thoughts. And thank you once again. I'll see you in the next video.